properly, that they're adjusted properly, that they function properly, and they actually stroke when they're supposed to. And then we adjusted and or replaced components that weren't functioning properly. The other thing that we immediately did was we went into our building automation system and just overall increased the amount of outside air that we were bringing into the building. Now, we're a little bit limited on that because on a 0 degree day, if you bring in a whole lot of fresh air, you got to heat it up or you're going to be freezing all your pipes. But so we've worked that since the pandemic started to maximize the amount of outside air that we could bring in, thereby diluting any pathogens that might be floating around in the air. Now, as Julie mentioned, we haven't found any in the air. With all the samples that we've done, we have not found any just floating about freely in the air. That's a good thing. The next thing we did was, and while the pandemic was horrible in terms of revenue to the university, one boost that we got was several different federal and state funding sources to address these pandemic concerns. So we put about $5 million of HERF funding and CARES funding into some projects on campus. One of the things that we did was, we're still in the process of replacing some of this aging air handling equipment that might not be giving us the performance that we want. So we're replacing that, putting new stuff in for the old. A couple of new technologies that we've put in place is, one is ultraviolet light disinfection. So we've installed that in some of our air handlers, and the idea is as the air passes through that ultraviolet light, it'll kill any viruses that happen to be there. We've done that in a limited number of applications. It was a quick hit. We were able to get it up and going fairly quickly in the areas that we did it. But it's very expensive, and it's got some legacy costs that'll go along with it. So it's not going to last nearly as long as some of the other measures that we've taken. One of probably the biggest hit that we got was needlepoint bipolar ionization. So it's basically air cleaners. It's ionizing air cleaners. And so we've installed that in all of the dorm rooms. There might be a couple up in Wick and Weller that we haven't gotten to because of the way they've been occupied. We haven't been able to get in. But if those aren't done, they will be as soon as we can get into them. So in each dorm room, and including the courtyards, not our partners, not the Edge, not the Enclave, not the flats or the lofts, but all of the YSU-owned residence halls, we've put in each room one of these ionization units. The idea behind that is as the air filters through that, the ionizers will kill any virus or pathogens that happen to be floating around in the air. So the other benefit you're going to get from that is, if for any of you that live in the dorms, hopefully you've noticed that the air seems a little bit cleaner, because it's also going to, it also takes a lot of the dust, dirt, and other irritants out of the air. So that was a big hit. Now, when I said we increased the air changes in the buildings, we've increased the amount of fresh air that we're bringing into the buildings. That's all got to be treated. From a heating standpoint, we're pretty good. Air conditioning, bringing a lot more hot, humid air in. We were struggling trying to keep it comfortable in the summer and late spring, early fall. So we've increased our chilled water capacity we're in the process of increasing our chilled water capacity at the central plant. Salem Regional Medical Center was kind enough to give us a 450-ton chiller that they weren't using, really never used, installed it, never used it. So we're in the process of installing that in our plant to help us with that additional load that we're introducing by bringing more air into the building. So I think in a nutshell, that's basically what we've done in addition to the other measures that Julie's talked about in terms of sanitation. that we've done to try to mitigate the spread of the virus on campus.
So obviously, Julie talked to you about kind of the, I guess, I'll call it the more practical side, and she makes it sound really easy, right? Because it's like, yeah, sure, we just have these people reach out and there's never any complications. And then obviously, John's got a whole nother set of things that they've continuously dealt with. And Julie also said, yes, we've been doing this, sounds crazy, but for 2 years now. And while we said nothing has really changed, things have changed with regards to what the CDC tells us we can do and what our we were gone for a little while and then we were back, and then how many people do we have in a residence hall room, and all of those types of things that have to come into play with keeping our campus as safe as possible. So I just want to share with you really quick, in addition to the other things I said, my office helps with, is a little bit of like, what do we do to not only keep you as safe as possible, but also to support you as much as possible? Because it's not just like, okay, cool, going like 2 years ago, we were putting people in isolation and quarantine for 14 days. That's a really long time. Thank goodness we're down more, and if things go well and people stay as healthy as they possibly can, they can hopefully get out in 5 days if they're not still sick. But that was a big deal. That was really big from the mental health perspective, but it was also really big because not only were we in quarantine and kind of home, or we had residents over in our Edge and Enclave, but a lot of stores and things were shut down. So we're trying to get people medication. And we're going, how do we do that? How do we go and stand outside when people can't get in those doors? They're locked, right? So lots of things like that. For a very long time, really until end of this past summer, anybody who was in isolation or quarantine, we were actually delivering care bags, and I still have a whole supply of medication in my office and thermometers and things like that. How do you tell somebody to, go and stay in your room and monitor for a fever if you don't have a thermometer? And I know that's not like the first thing on your list. Like, I'm moving away to college, so let me make sure I have a thermometer. But we had to make sure that we had those things that could keep our campus as safe as possible. And Julie also kind of glossed over the fact that we have a nurse that is on staff 5 days a week. It's not just for her to go to work and take care of we're gonna track the COVID cases. Her main job is to make sure that our students who are by themselves, that's what isolation is, they're by themselves, is to check on those students and make sure they're doing okay. What do I do if? When do I call for an ambulance? When should I go home? Those types of things. And they've been awesome. Our staff, we have a staff of not only our nurse, but our 2 coordinators are like awesome people. So if I was going to be in quarantine or isolation, I would want to work with them, and I know I could approach them with any question, really. Other things that we continue to help with, in addition to, like in the past, we actually were master leasing some rooms over in the Edge and the Flats. We had meals going out to people. We still do. If you guys could only see, you don't want to see it. It's really complicated. But we have and Erin's part of it, so she knows. There is a group of individuals that are on call literally 24/7. So if a student who lives in our residence hall and they live with someone else in that space, or if they share a restroom, immediately we start working on, we need to move them over to Weller House, what John had mentioned. So we're going to not only, if they're on a meal plan, we have Chartwell's also coordinating those meals and dropping those off for a certain number of days. So there's a lot that goes into it. And as we go into the question and answer piece, if you guys have specific questions about what that looks like, I'm happy to answer that. But I want you to know that there's a lot of things that I think we all need extra hands, and we could all use extra people to help. But I think that they've done a really good job, and we hope we continue to do that. But please reach out or let us know if there's things that we could be doing just to make these times just a little bit easier. And when I talked about the mental health piece and those types of things, when Julie talked about the letter that goes out, all of those resources are also listed in that letter so that students can go right to those and say, okay, I need this right now, or I need the Penguin Pantry right now. So lots of things like that. So I'll stop talking now so you can answer questions or ask questions.
Thank you very much for coming in. At this time, if you have any questions for any of our guest speakers, you can just raise your hand.
Yeah, I had a couple. So one thing that I noticed, like you said, about a lot of the standards being changed, which is something that I am a little confused by myself, since last year people were being quarantined when they were testing negative, when they would move into the dorm in the spring semester of 2021, I believe it was. They were just being forced to quarantine for no reason. The quarantine periods keep shrinking. And most recently in December, the CDC said about the PCR test not being able to distinguish COVID from the flu. So what standard is YSU using besides just the CDC guidance, and specifically with the PCR tests? How are you guys planning to adapt to that?
I'll go really quick to the ISO quarantining students for no reason. That wasn't for no reason at the time, and I would guess that they were out-of-state students at the time. So at that point, we had hotspot states. I couldn't remember for a second what they were, but we had hotspot states, and that was part of the protocol. So it was a lot of work, and I'll look at Aaron again. That was a really challenging time because we were, we want to follow those guidelines. That I always tell people that question those, I'm like, the individuals that work with the CDC went to school for a very long time, and so I might have my own ideas on things, but still, that's the guidance that we're going to follow. And at the time, if there was a student who did not fall into that category, they did not have to quarantine.
Well, it was more the students that were moving back in, some from the hotspot states or even from certain sections of Ohio at the time were considered hotspots. They were testing negative, and despite that, just because of the geographic location they were coming from, they were being forced to quarantine, which seems counterproductive. If you're negative, you're negative.
And that's what the quarantine is. So a quarantine is actually somebody who has been exposed or we believe could be at an increased risk for getting COVID. So they're completely healthy. Completely healthy with a potential for exposure or higher risk to get it. And then we bring them out of the normal population in case they do start presenting symptoms and get sick, and then they don't transmit it. So you're exactly right. That is what quarantine is removing somebody who's healthy at the time, but has a potential based on where they traveled, where they lived, those kinds of things to be a transmitter.
And so you're referring to the percentage of positive people that were in those areas that those students were coming from.
Yeah.
And just kind of saying like, yeah, if I went to the mall and like 80%, I'm using like hypothetical numbers, 80% of the people that were there were positive, well, it's really likely that I may have, contracted it as well. So I would move out of that population.
Right.
So to expand a little bit on your other question, so having to do with isolation and quarantine and kind of the different targets, it's always like a new moving target. Very frustrating. I think everyone involved with COVID support, quarantine, isolation, at times just kind of feel like we're chasing our tail and, not sure what we're supposed to be doing. But YSU has always followed CDC, so the kind of the high level CDC. State of Ohio, the Ohio Department of Health also has additional requirements. That's where the travel restrictions came in. It was actually a state level. And then we are most locally governed by the city health district. So not Mahoning County. We're actually the City of Youngstown Health District. So as far as day-to-day activities, we look at all of those levels and do the best we can to implement all those recommendations as much as feasible. But the quarantine and isolation, those recommendations have been set at the CDC level. And typically the state and the local health departments are just following CDC's lead on those days. And as far as why, how those numbers are figured and the amount of days, and all of a sudden at 5 days you're safe to come out. There is actually a lot of scientific research that has been done and is available on CDC, and I can provide you different links. I don't want to get into all that right now. But basically what it comes down to is if you're exposed to the virus, you can be contagious, where you can transmit it to other people 2 days before symptoms start, up to 3 to 4 days after you've gotten symptoms. So when we do contact tracing and try to isolate people to prevent them from spreading more COVID to other people, that would kind of be the window that we need to focus on. So as far as it going from 14 to 10, now down to 5, that has a lot to do with the decrease in symptoms that people are seeing with the different variants. And so originally, people were sick, legitimately sick for 14 days or longer. Then it kind of went down to 10. And now with Omicron, luckily, after about 5 days, people are feeling pretty good. And it's outside that contagious window. So CDC has decided that it's safe to have people come out of isolation and quarantine now after 5 days.
To that point about the isolation periods, so people, like it's well known that even if you're vaccinated, you can still spread COVID. So from my understanding and from personal experience, people that I know have had, they got the vaccine and they told, when they were contact traced, they let the people know that were requesting that they go into quarantine, and they were not put into quarantine. So if somebody like myself was contact traced and I don't have the vaccine, then I would be forced to quarantine. What is the difference there? Because if both people can transmit COVID, then it doesn't seem that there's a clear answer why one is forced to quarantine and the other isn't.
And that guidance has actually changed a little bit as well. So part of the discussion that our contact tracers have with individuals is vaccination status. We call it vaccination status. So depending on what vaccine you have, you could do a single shot, J&J, 2-shot, Moderna, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, different options. But originally, what CDC was saying is that you were fully vaccinated if you were 2 weeks past your second dose of a 2-dose or 4 weeks past a single dose. So when we were talking to people, the guidelines were if you were fully vaccinated, you didn't have to quarantine. So we would follow those guidelines. Here recently, they have kind of changed a little now that you have to be boosted as well. So the thought behind that, again, has to do with the variants. And like you said, it's pretty common now for vaccinated people to transmit, to get and also transmit the new variants of COVID. And so now the fully vaccinated includes a booster.
Okay.
So we have incorporated that into our
and
process.
I just have one final question. This might be more for Dr. Kenstrolo. I had discussed with SGA exec a little earlier in the year about some people that were in my constituency that were having issues with professors coming to them and publicly asking their vaccination status when they weren't comfortable with sharing that information. I know of one professor who was giving out an assignment that asked if they were vaccinated, and if not, why, and things like that. Very invasive questions. People I've heard being harassed on a continual basis, about that issue by faculty members. So is there anything that your office or anybody in the administration is doing to actually try to contain that problem?
Yeah, that's a great question, because it's something I probably would have brought up if no one asked. And that really is, we need to know about it. So we need to know about it, but people like Provost Smith need to know about that as well, because that's their boss, right? So we want to, there are certain things that Julie's crew has the obligation to ask, because that's going to help guide what happens next.
Yeah.
But that's not something that should be asked in the classroom, right? So any of those types of things that, honestly, even if you're like, I don't know if this is okay or not, and I can't find it anywhere, it's okay to go ahead and submit what we call a student complaint. And what we do, those all come through our office, and we kind of route those appropriately. So an example would be, I'll just use these two because they're standing right here. But let's just say somebody wants to complain about Julie. John's Julie's supervisor, so he's going to get that complaint. And it might be that Julie wore a blue sweater on a Monday, and I didn't think she was allowed to do that. And he'd be like, well, that's not the thing. So it doesn't always mean that you're going to get someone in trouble. Maybe there is a valid reason for that. It's just something that we would want to know about to make sure. Same thing is true for course modalities and things like that. We had a lot of questions and concerns about that early on, hey, my faculty, I was taking this class in person because I really do really bad in online classes, and I struggled with that. And then my faculty changed it. Well, maybe there is something where they went through their chair and followed the proper policies and procedures, and they were allowed to do that, but maybe there was miscommunication. We're still going to let that chair know, or that dean, depending on who it is, know that this student brought this up to us, and then they will address it that way. If it still doesn't, if it doesn't resolve, continue to send that through to us so that we can at least get you the right communication back about what that means.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah.
And I was going to say really quick, just to back up with the question that we were talking about with the vaccination status, the other overriding piece of that is, are you having symptoms? It was just something that we didn't touch on. And obviously, if someone's having symptoms, the reason we would quarantine them regardless of vaccination status is that they can spread it easier. Yeah. If you're coughing and sneezing, it's going to be a lot easier than if you're not doing that. So, okay. Thank you.
There's one more question. Oh, Tim?
I just had a question. I guess, is the travel ban for clubs and sports still in place? And could you speak a little bit more to, in terms of having people get tested before going on trips?
The travel restrictions for domestic travel are not in place due to COVID. Depending on the travel, there could be different protocols in place. So like if you wanted to travel with student government, you'd probably have to run that through Erin, and she would check with COVID people, with her boss, to make sure everything was in place. But as far as COVID travel bans, no, there are not. There are some international travel restrictions, and we've always had those. So they rank level 4 through level 1, level 4 being the worst. And it could be due to potential violence threats against U.S. people traveling there. It doesn't necessarily have to be COVID. So those are still in place, and those always will be. But as far as the travel restrictions, there are none. The testing is highly recommended. That anyone, before you go, sit in a van with other people for 10 hours, it's probably a pretty good idea to make sure that you're not going to, pass COVID around the van. So we would ask that you be tested before you go. And then likewise, if you're traveling someplace to participate in an event or competition around a lot of other people, we would ask that you test when you come back as well. And those are the free at-home tests that you can get through any supervisor. Any organization has those, or you can swing by Cushwa and grab those as well. Yep.
So, if there are any other questions, just for the sake of time, if you have any questions later on, you can always email John and I or anybody else, Nico, because he's also on the COVID task force, and then we can actually direct any of those questions to those three as well. But thank you very much for coming in. We really appreciate it.
We're always happy to come. I know that there's a lot of questions that you folks have about various stuff. We're happy to come in and pester us anytime you want.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this. And for those that are on the chat, we do not have the laptop with us right now, so if you do have any questions, just feel free to reach out to Hallie so that we can forward those to the right people. Thank you guys again.
Thank you.
In the meantime, Hallie, I'm going to give you the chance to get your laptop.
Do you want me to do the? Yeah. You want me to do?
Yeah. So in the meantime, I'm going to let Hallie get the chance to get her laptop so you can do roll call. But, I know that this is, the guest speakers this time, it took a little bit longer. But I do think with COVID, it's just vital information that all of us as representatives of the student body should know, just so we know what YSU's university themselves are really doing to tackle anything COVID-19 related. And like I said earlier, if you do have any other questions, feel free to let me know or let anybody else on the executive committee know. You can forward those questions over to them as well. All right, and then Hallie, you can start roll call.
Julia Carson. Here. Emmy Vero. Here. Alexis Blessing. Here. Alexander Pepa. Here. Brock Tetmeyer.
Here.
Kyle Zimmerman. Here. Brian Fleming.
Here.
Nina Matze. Here. Corey Kim.
Here.
Nicholas Pesker.
Here.
Dakota Obermeyer.
Here.
Jeremy DeMarco.
Here.
Balakrishna Baramadam.
Here.
Timothy McClellan.
Here.
Austin Brown.
Here.
Brent Weaver.
Here.
Cassidy Unger. Here. Alyssa Fillion. Here. Teresa Washalishan. Here. Delia Winston. Here. Jordan Pintar. Here. Abby Milton. Dominic Adams. Insha Khan. Sean Murray. Dylan Henning. Julie Williams. Jacob Ruan. Angie Gopal. Nadia Pace. Jacob Harbour. Abigail Andre. Andrew Miller. Michael Dunn.
Awesome. All right, at this time, I'd like favorably upon a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Awesome, and at this time, I'd like favorably upon a motion to move into executive business.
Motion moving into executive business.
Second.
Okay, I'm going to start this one off. I will try to go as quick as possible. Yeah, I'll just go right into it. First, we have appointed, I'm not sure the exact number, Hallie will go into it in her report, but we have appointed a lot of reps, so welcome to our year first body meeting. We have 7 positions left. We have 1 CCCA, 3 grad students, 2 HHS, and 1 WCBA. So the STEM college and B-Class C are now full, which is great. Something Nick and I are currently trying to do is we're still working on the One Love program and trying to get that campus-wide. So right now we're looking at available programming and other partnerships that we can do with the company. On top of that, we're still working on SGA signage to get outside of our student activities office, and I'm working with Stacy Rubinek and Aaron on that. We are still waiting to hear back from the Penguin Productions to approve our Swenson's truck location. So we're trying to get that for Federal Frenzy. And we are also working on doing a potential SGA Gwynathon team. So Gwynathon is coming up very soon, and I'm trying to get a team together like as quickly as possible because it is about to be done. So today, after this meeting, I'm going to go into Teams and submit a form for you guys to sign up if you'd like to be a part of Gwynathon, and I'm going to give you some more information, okay? The last thing I want to say on my part is thank you to everybody for attending our retreat. We had a really good turnout. I was so happy to see you guys there, some for the first time and some for the second this year. Our retreat this year was really focused on trying to get you guys to understand and have a better feel about what our executive committee does on a daily basis and working with the right people. So we have a little surprise for you. We wanted to have this at the retreat, but they were not ready until today. So we do have 20 business cards for all of the representatives. This way, because now you guys are a little bit familiar more with the process of what we do to operate as an executive team, you do get your own business cards. So that way when you're walking around your college or you have students that have questions, you can give them your information because you are also the right people to talk to. So I'm going to start passing these out. As for the new reps, we don't have yours yet. We are going to be in the process of ordering them. While Nick is finishing up the report, don't mind me, but I'll just be dropping them off in front of you. Yeah,
the first thing I really want to echo is that, A, thank you very much for coming to the retreat, and B, like Gianna said, the whole point of the exercise that we had at the retreat is we wanted you all to kind of get in the mindset of what it's like to create policy and see it through, or create ideas and see it through. And honestly, as representatives of the student body, you all are student leaders. You are the right people to talk to within your college. You are the right people to ask, which is why it's huge. Whenever guest speakers even come here, it's huge to get this information because we want you all to be just as knowledgeable about the university and what's going on at YSU as we are. And if we wanted you guys to think like an executive team, then we want you guys to have business cards like our executive team has. So you have the chance to, if you ever run into students and they're asking you questions, you can give them that business card and say, this is where you can contact me. If you ever, weren't sure, of an answer yet, and you're like, well, I'm going to go and find that out. Let me email the right people. Here's my business card. Keep in touch. We want to give you guys that sense of professionality as well that we also have with the positions we're in. So I hope you guys really enjoy business cards.
I do want to mention, if you are online, we also have your business cards, so just feel free to stop into the office whenever, and we will have those laid out on Hallie's desk.
But yeah, not only look at the business cards as just something cool to get, but it's also just like symbolically, we are invested in all of you as representatives. We all believe in you, and we all think that you can, do your job just as professionally as anybody else on the executive team can. So, hopefully you guys enjoy them, and we get some use out of them as well. So thank you all. Next thing I'm going to go into is, I mentioned last time that we had our new our portable phone charging station that got ordered and is in. It's actually in the new Penguin plug-in area, if you guys ever see it. But we're going to be working on details on where we want it to be. If IT is going to be kind of manning it or student government, but we're going to be working on those details. Then the next thing is, so I loved the food truck ideas we were coming up with in the teams. Loved all the ideas, wanting to bring in these food trucks on campus. In our executive committee meeting, we were discussing it further. So one thing I want to do is, a lot of you had questions for dining, and I think we can take this food truck idea and really turn it into an opportunity here. So we were thinking, instead of a bunch of food trucks on one whole day, we would do maybe like once a week in the month of April, a different food truck. I originally called it Food Truck Friday, but then Dom told me a lot of WCBA students aren't on campus on Fridays, so maybe we'll think of a different day, but that's in the works. But what we're hoping to do is possibly turn it into an opportunity to see what types of different foods can we get on Lincoln Avenue that we don't have here at YSU. And that allows dining services to really study, what do students like, what would they go crazy over, so that way they can really get a good, look at what's something new that they can bring to YSU that students are going to be happy about. So really this can be turned into not only a fun thing for students, but a great opportunity for dining services to kind of study how students, feel about certain types of foods on campus. So next thing is, so Swipe Out Hunger, the organization as a whole, they have grant applications out there, and we learned about that this past weekend. And the really cool thing is that by fall is when the application process will have to go through. But if we get a grant from them, then we can get a completely new fridge for the Penguin Pantry. So that's amazing. And then there is some extra money for for SGA for our wellness days and any spring events that we have. There's also an opportunity for us to get some kind of extra funding through there. And then a couple other things I wanted to mention. So future COVID vaccine/booster dates on campus, March 3rd, 28th, and April 28th. Those are the 3 dates that we're going to be having those on campus. So spread the word, tell your friends about those. And then something else that John and I kind of just learned, I wanted to give an update about. So at the retreat, there was a question about international students. Potentially they're getting paid less. I think, Nadia, you were the one who brought that up. So we do have an update on that. It seems that it's not that international students get paid less, it's that they have extra taxes, and so that's why it seems that way. But the WCBA has a voluntary service where they do students' taxes for free, and international students can go there and get their taxes done and get that money back with their tax returns. So that's something that, if you know any international students or if you work with any of them, please let them know about that. We're also going to be talking with the professors ahead of that and kind of get that marketing going, spreading the word about that as well, because we also think that's very vital information there. But that's everything that I have. I'm going to be passing it off to Dom for the Vice President for Financial Affairs report.
Okay, I'll just keep it short like I usually try to do. I hope everyone's doing good. But so far we have appropriated a little bit over $68,000. We have a little bit over $4,500 returned to the general fund. Today we are proposing about $13,500 in SBS 2022-13. And if everything passes today, we will have used up $77,154.37. So we have $52,286.63 in the general fund. We haven't touched the new student board fund since last time, so we've only used $380 there. And then, yes, our total appropriations budget remaining is $55,906.63.
So next, we're going to go with Faith for the public relations report.
Okay, so the two most important things that I have in my report are, first, I updated the committee and college tabs on the website with all of the new reps, most of the new reps, I think. I'm going to work on it more tomorrow. So if you are new to SGA, please go on the website, check the tab for your committee, check the tab for your college, make sure I have your name spelled right, make sure you're in the right place, and make sure that your email is updated correctly. Just in case anybody needs to contact you, I want that information to be correct. In addition, if you are a new rep, please contact me about taking your headshot outside with myself and Jeremy for the Instagram and for the website. And please make sure you head down to graphic services and take your headshot with the background so that we can use that for your placards. If you have any questions, please email me about the outdoor ones, me or Jeremy. And if you have any questions about the graphic services placard headshots, email Gianna or myself. And that's all I have today.
All right, Michael, with the assessment report. So I'll keep this short as well. Penguin Pantry, we have returned the shopping style as well as an addition with the online form. That way students have another option of receiving food from the pantry. We're doing a little bit of a softer launch of that, kind of to give us a little bit of adjustment time and kind of like that learning curve to go back to that method. With that, we have had new sanitation and safety processes in place to continue with COVID protocols within the university. Again, volunteering, our volunteer numbers are a little bit lower than we'd like this semester, but if you are interested in volunteering, you can count 3 of your volunteer hours towards your constituency hours that you need, which are 15. As well as in January, we served 44 students within those 3 weeks, which I think is pretty impressive. With academic advising focus groups, the days and times are finalized. An email will go out to the AD committee as well as the executive committee this evening to discuss placements as well as times in colleges that you'll be serving in, as well as an email will go out to the colleges later this week once we finalize the rooms within the dean's office. And then with anything regarding that you think the AD committee can discuss or observe, anything that your constituents have brought forth, we'd love to hear it. You can send me a quick email or send one of your AD committee members an email as well.
And then Elsa? Okay, I'll keep this really fast. So, happy Declaration of Candidacy Day. Sorry, my voice is kind of gross right now. I've been sick for my 2nd month in a row, which is really exciting. Okay, make sure you get that in by next Thursday, the 17th. So you have this week and next week to get the Declaration of Candidacies in. And then campaigning begins March 14th, and that is a harsh rule. So, you're not allowed to campaign before. Otherwise, you will have to speak with the elections board and myself, and I don't want to do that. Okay, coming up in February, next week is our love week. So we have the Valentine's Day, like candy and flower jams on that Monday. We're also doing condom distribution on the same day. So it'll be like a really fun Monday tabling. Also on Wednesday, we're gonna do the One Love tabling and questions about relationships. I'm gonna make the signups for those and send those out hopefully by the end of this week. And then that way we can use the questions from the One Love tabling for the program that Gianna and Nick are trying to push through. The next big thing that we're going to talk about would be Pete's Wellness Retreat. That's with the funding that Nick mentioned. We can revamp the whole wellness retreat and make it more exciting. So if you guys have any ideas for that, even if you're not in my committee, send them my way. And then the last thing I guess I could really mention is that we're doing a hot cocoa kit distribution in March. So all I need from you guys is just to promote all these events happening and get your declarations of candidacy in.
All right. Sure. I just want to welcome all of our new reps. So we have Dylan and Julia from Be Classy, Jacob, Angie, and Nadia with WCBA, Jacob with Graduate, Abigail and Andrew with Health and Human Services, and Michael Dunn with our transfer. So we still have some openings. CCCA, we have 1. WCBA, we have 1. Graduate, we have 3. And Health and Human Services, we have 1. Just spread the word. The forms are still open for those applications. So spread the word to your friends. If you know anyone that you think would like to be an SGA, just let them know they can still apply. And then I know our new reps, so I just wanted to explain the representative hours that are required for you guys. So I'm not going to read the whole, this is a whole rule. I'm not going to read the whole thing for you, but basically it says 15 hours per semester. You're required to do some sort of representative hour. Basically, the 15 hours comes from 15 weeks in a semester, but the new reps, you guys haven't been here that long, so I would say it's probably, you'll probably have be required 12 or 11, depending on how many weeks you came into SGA in the semester. So it's just activities, they're all listed right here. You guys can read through this. I just wanted to clarify that because I know it was something new and it could be a little confusing. For the retreat, those that attended, I already put those hours and you guys don't have to submit them in the forms. And to submit the rep hours, there's a form in the Teams in the general chat. It says Spring 2022 rep hours. You guys can just input your hours there whenever you complete those. That's all I got.
All right, Nico?
So I'm going to keep this short as well. You all have the ability to read, so with everything that we've been passing amendment-wise to the Constitution, I decided to just give you all a brief list, just so you can just see it visually as to what we've changed and how much we've done in one semester. So I'm really happy with everything we've done so far, and I look forward to passing even more amendments this coming semester. And just a reminder, like on the last page with Rule 9 in the bylaws and the standing rules as well as the Constitution, they're all available online. So if you have any questions about anything, especially regarding elections or declarations of candidacy or anything of that sort, they're all available online for you to access. And on that note with the election, I was told to mention that this is going to be our last election that does not entail the representatives gathering signatures from their college. So in case you are not aware, every other year up till 2020 when COVID hit, all of the representatives would have to go and get 25 signatures from their fellow students in their college in order to get their name on the ticket for the ballot the spring semester. So this is the last election that will not be in place. So anybody who is looking to run next year, that is something we're going to be passing again this semester to revert it back to the old way. And that is all I have.
All right, seeing that there's no unfinished business, we'll go right into new business. So I look favorably upon a motion to move into new business. Okay, so we'll be going to SBS 2022-13.
I'm going to motion to suspend the rules of reading the entire bill and just give a brief summary of each section, if that is all right with you, Nina. All right, can I get a second? All right, thank you.
Okay. So Section 1, African and Caribbean Student Union appropriated $4,000 for their African and Caribbean night. Section 2, the Black Student Union is appropriated $1,000 for their paint social event, and we have a representative here on their behalf. If you'd like to give a statement.
So I'd like to thank you guys for appropriating $1,000. We really appreciate it. And Black Student Union, I'm David. I came here the last time to represent us for the winter formal. Dominic was there to represent SGA. I really appreciate it. It turned out nice, and we're trying to recreate that with the paint social, a little bit more interactive with painting, and definitely it'll be a means for us to relax during this difficult semester. So again, thank you, and I'm happy to represent BSU.
Thank you. We have Section 3, the tennis club has appropriated $3,340 for their tournament event. We have Emily and Nadine here on their behalf.
Hello, so I'm the president, I'm Nadine. And I'm the vice president, I'm Emily Vo. So we have a the United States Tennis Association Midwestern Championship Tennis Tournament over in Wisconsin, Madison. So this is our very first opportunity to travel as a tennis team after a year and a half of only practicing here, and this is our first year and a half of being an actual tennis team being revamped. So by having the opportunity to travel to Madison, Wisconsin, yes, it may seem far, but it is the Midwest Championships. So it is an opportunity for us to finally establish ourselves as a team since we just were brought up last year. It is also an opportunity for YSU students to come see who we are as a club tennis team, because we do offer free tennis clinics. We do offer free equipment because it is kind of pricey as the sport is. So this is an opportunity for YSU students to see that, hey, we're not just practicing here, we're actually going out and competing, and that with the lessons that we are teaching them, they have the ability to compete against other colleges as well.
It's also a great opportunity for our team to bond together because we've been practicing long and hard for the past year and a half. So this is something that everybody's really been excited for and looking towards. And also it's a way for us to give back to our community and like club sports, because if there's any other club sport teams who are looking to travel or have any questions about like SGA appropriations, we're able to do that because we went through the process and we're also able to help other people. So this will be a really great opportunity for not only the team, but our university.
And for any precautions or worries about COVID, since we are going to have to drive 8 hours over there, we are going to have testing beforehand. Make sure people are required to wear their masks in the vehicles as well, just to be safe, since we are 8 hours in a van, 5 per van, so that's why the price is kind of pricey as it is, as well as just to make sure everyone has an overall wellness check. If someone feels that they're sick and they cannot go, we will have alternatives as well. And the price goes down to, we can only take 10 students total, because that's what the championship is required. 10 male and 10 females, 3 singles and 1 pairs of doubles. So we are going to have a fair and equal chance for people to all compete for that spot. Thank you.
Section 4, we have Tamer Productions is appropriated $2,669 for Federal Frenzy, and they submitted a statement. With this being our first in-person Federal Frenzy since 2019, we want to make sure that this is a memorable and safe event for everyone involved. Because operation expenses take up a large portion of our budget, additional funding from SGA would help ensure that we are able to provide the YSU student body and the Youngstown community with an event that is entertaining, lively, and safe. Once again, thank you, and I hope to hear back from you soon. And lastly, Section 5, Alpha Epsilon Delta and the American Medical Student Association is appropriated the sum of $2,510 for their YSU Health Professional Alumni Dinner, and we have Ollie Krishna here.
So, hi guys. I am the president of the American Medical Student Association. So I came, I think, last semester to ask for our tie blanket event. It went great. We created 20 blankets and donated them to the Mercy Health Hospital down the street. So I'm back for our our YSU Health Professional Alumni Dinner, where it's just a networking opportunity for students to get introduced to the field that they're interested in, whether it's like nurses, physicians, pharmacists. So we'll have alumni coming back to the stadium clubhouse, and it's just going to be a fun social event where they can network and learn stuff from each other. And it's going to be the first time since COVID happened that we're going to have it.
All right. Those in favor of passing SBS 2022-13, please raise your placards. All right. Those opposed? And any abstentions? All right, it passes. All right, and at this time, I look favorably upon a motion to move out of new business.
Move out of new business.
All right, and then at this time, we'll be going straight into gallery remarks. So if there's anybody here at the gallery that has any remarks, if not, that's okay. But so we'll be moving on to advisors' remarks. So Erin?
I just wanted to make one follow-up comment to the COVID conversation. Though there's not a travel ban because of COVID, there is still the travel justification form that needs to be filled out anytime an organization is traveling. So I just wanted to clarify that. As Julie alluded to, we do then do testing and contact tracing through that group. So just wanted to make sure that you know that form does still need to be filled out before you do any travel. That's all for me today. Thanks, everybody.
Online. All right, and then moving on from advisor's remarks, we'll go straight to members' remarks and announcements. So we'll start with Dom and go around.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, getting those business cards, I hope you guys enjoy them. I remember when I first got mine, I was super excited, and you guys should feel proud to have those. You guys definitely represent, over 11,000 students at YSU. So, you guys are doing a great job. And then regarding the new members, I'm super excited to hopefully meet you guys. I don't think I have any of you on my committee, unfortunately, but I'm super excited to meet you and get close with you guys and work with you, and I'm looking for a fun semester. So, yeah.
I just want to say welcome to all the new members, and I hope everyone has a great week.
Same thing Abby said, welcome to the new members, have a great week.
I'm excited to be here as a new member. I haven't done much yet, but I'm excited to make new initiatives.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here as well. Thank you guys for having me, and it's been nice going to my meeting with the student life, so I'm excited.
I didn't know I was going to have to say anything, but hello, everybody. I'm excited to be here.
I hope everyone has a great week.
Welcome new members. Thank you, exec team, for the cards. Hopefully everybody has a great week.
Yep, same for me. Have a great week, everybody.
Yep, same here. Have a great week, guys.
Have a great week. Go Penguins.
Welcome to the new members. This week, the Dana School of Music Faculty Ensemble has their third concert. It's Wednesday night at 7:30 in Bliss Hall. And then also next Thursday, the Wind Ensemble is hosting their 15th annual Wind and Percussion Invitational, where they'll be performing a concert as well as inviting 2 local high schools to play with us as well.
Hi everybody, I'm one of the new members. Thank you all for being so nice to us. I guess one announcement I have, I know it's on the SGA Instagram page, but for the Alpha Alpha Rho chapter, Pi Sigma Alpha, which is the Political Science Honor Society, we're doing a Women's History Month writing contest. The first prize is $100, the second prize is $75, and the third prize is $50. One reason I want to announce it here, we only got like one person last year to write it, so I encourage you all to write it. It's only about 750 words, so it's not too lengthy. But thank you.
I'm also a new rep. I'm excited to be here, and I'm looking forward to get to know everybody.
All right, welcome new reps, kind of echoing everybody else here. I do have an exciting announcement. Poetry Club is officially a registered student organization, so I sound so nerdy right now, but I'm very excited about that. If you want to join, just reach out to me, and have a great week. Have a good week.
Yeah, welcome all the new reps. Also, just as a reminder, on March 25th, my fraternity Sigma Chi is hosting our Rocket Cake benefit concert. We're going to be giving out free tickets through SGA, so be on the lookout for that. Other than that, though, have a great week, guys.
I'm also a new member, and I'm just excited to be here.
Grateful to be a member and excited to be here. Hope everyone has a good week.
Have a great week, anyone, and good luck on upcoming exams.
Okay. So in the Public Relations Committee, Faith asked us, what do we want to work in SGA? So a big passion I have is to stop human trafficking. So Ohio is the 5th state, the 5th top to be the biggest state for human trafficking. As a passion and as a career goal, I would like to stop it, combat it. So I'm in YCAT, which is a student-led human trafficking coalition. And on Wednesdays, every 2 weeks, 4 p.m. in the Heinz room, I believe, we have meetings. We can stop human trafficking, find out ways to combat it. If you're interested in learning more, or you have the same passions, I suggest you join us.
All right, so Student Life Committee's been working hard on Love Week the last couple of weeks, so please come out, support our events next week. That'll be Monday, actual Valentine's Day, then Wednesday the 16th.
Hello, I'm a new member. Thanks for having me. I have some concerns with the future of the university with the cuts being made to the programs and the faculty, and so that's one of my personal concerns, but I'm really happy to be here, and it's an honor to serve.
I'm a new member, so welcome to all the other new members and all the older members. Thanks for letting me be here. And hope everybody has a good week.
Welcome new reps and have a great week.
Welcome all the new representatives, and you all lucked out this week. There were no amendments or bylaw changes that you won't be as lucky any other week, I promise. But I look forward to working with you all this semester.
Welcome all new reps, and like I said in my report, I see there's a lot of you in here, so if you need my contact information, come up to me after the meeting. I have my business cards. If you need to email me about your pictures being taken or anything like that, I'm also here to answer any other questions that you may have. Welcome new reps. Let me know if anything looks wrong on the business cards or like your name tags or the placards. Let me know if anything's wrong, we can fix it. Yeah, that's all I got. Welcome everyone.
Once again, welcome new reps. I'm super excited to have you all here, and I'm really excited to begin working with all of you, hear all of your passions, and see what we can do as a whole to keep making campus great. If you have not gotten your headshot yet, and during this meeting I did get an email that a few of you went down today, so thank you. If you have not gotten it yet, when you do go to graphic services, please make sure that they take it landscape and not portrait. A little bit weird, but that's what we have to do. On top of that, just make sure to declare candidacy as soon as possible, so that way you're not waiting sooner rather than later. And I look forward once again to working with all of you this semester, and have a great week.
Hallie, is there anybody online that had anything to say?
Nope, just have a good week.
Awesome.
Everyone.
All right. First, I want to apologize for meeting lasting later than it's supposed to be. But yeah, I know everybody has class, or maybe just in general don't want to be here any longer than you have to be. So do want to apologize for that. But other than that, to all the new representatives, seriously, like, welcome to student government. I hope you all enjoy your time here. And I hope you guys work on finding your individual passions and things that you would want to change and bring new into the world while you're here. So, with that being said, I look favorably upon a motion to adjourn.
Second. Oh yeah, just so you know, because I'm going to be the neighbor.